Hey, Jack.
Hi. Hi. Oh, hi, Richard.
How
Hi.
you going?
Hello. Good afternoon to you.
Say again, sorry.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good. I think is it good night for you?
Yeah, 10 p.m. my time.
Yeah, it's getting late for you. So yeah.
No
Fair
problem.
play to you, mate. Serious commitments.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we can because we need to stick to our ritual every Monday, a meeting, and then we keep going no
Yeah,
matter what.
definitely, mate. Fair play.
Yeah, I don't know whether there will be a lot of people tonight simply because it is, like I said in the chat, today is a US public holiday. So
Yeah,
there's
got you.
something that is going on over the other side. It's summer holiday. A lot of people are looking for summer vacation, I believe, back to the pre-COVID timing. And then here, Singapore, we have school holiday going on. The last week of school holiday. Hi, Jane. Thanks for coming. I appreciate the fact that it's a holiday for you and you are still here. And thank you, Grant. Nice to come. Nice to see you. Okay, at least a few of us are here. So we'll start in a moment. And tonight's, or this afternoon, or this morning, depends on your time zone. The topic for this week in the Business and Wealth Club is about high ticket versus low ticket clients. The what, the why, and the how. The topic that I came up approximately 5 hours ago because I couldn't think of another topic that would really best describe what happened to me this morning. So I will give you a bit of the background later on as to why I'm going through this topic in the next 60 minutes. So whether you're watching this replay, doesn't matter to me. It's a holiday, right? So I would like our moderators to do the self-introduction, and we'll go back to the topic itself. So Richard, introduction, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. And as always, great to be here. My name's Richard Morgan. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, and over the last sort of 10 plus years, I've been building myself financial freedom. And for the past 3 to 4 years, I've been building a coaching business where I help people to achieve the same. I primarily help people on mindset, but I also help them with health and wealth as well. So I'll keep it nice and short. So over to you, Jane.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, everybody. Hi, this is Jane Johnson. I've been clearing and coaching people 39 years and just love helping people get the results they want. And obviously, I love it or I wouldn't still be doing it. I absolutely love it. No plans to retire. Just love it. So that's all I feel like saying about myself. Thanks for having me here. Over to you, Grant.
Thank you, Jane. Hi, folks. This is Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over the past 19 years, myself and my international team, we've helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, and organisations across 15 countries, help them to increase their profits by up to 200% in just a few short months. By essentially working with the teams, and everybody does have a team, the systems, their mindset, and their strategy. So now I'm actually on a mission. I have a global vision to build a global movement of 1 million leaders so that I can help them to live life without limits by clearly communicating their message with the world. That's me. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you, Grant. First of all, I would love to say thank you all the moderators for coming here despite the commitment you guys have. Especially Jane, like I said, today is a holiday. You should be around somewhere else, not here. But anyway, Jane is here, so thank you, Jane, for coming. And then let me just do a quick intro. Jack Wong from Singapore. Over the last 28 years, I've been helping thousands of multinational companies and high net worth individuals to optimize their tax position legally, morally, and ethically. On top of that, I'll be your moderator and the host for tonight's show, high ticket versus low ticket clients, the what, the why, and the how. Okay, so let me just start explaining the rationale why I have this topic. I share with my moderators in our own private chat that I've actually kicked out a potential client who requested me to do a 3 days training, and they only pay me for New Zealand New Zealand $2,000 I just did a calculation over Singaporean dollars. It is less than 2K for sure because our dollar is stronger than New Zealand dollars. So imagine 3 days training, 1,900. Sorry to say, no offense to the client or anyone here. I just FO the client, say I don't want to work. And somehow this afternoon, I was thinking, what topic should I actually write or talk about? And I come up with the high ticket versus low ticket. That is just like a self-healing process. Like you think that, hey, Jack, you are not actually someone who is so big. Why are you rejecting $2,000 deal? I said, that's just too much work for me. I mean, the time that I'm going to spend on the 3 days, is it worth a lot more than 2K? You bet. So I would like to actually bring this topic up about high ticket versus low ticket. I would just want to define what is high ticket versus low ticket first, because everyone has definitions. Everyone is going to be different. So as far as I'm concerned, a high ticket deal or high ticket offer is the one that generates a minimum of 10,000 US dollars. It can be more than 10 grand, or it can be lower than 10 grand. That is just my own definition. My definition is always 10 grand as a ballpark, from 4 figures to 5 figures. So if I'm actually offering anything below 10 grand, that's actually not a high ticket. Is that low ticket? It may be not high ticket. It does not necessarily mean it has to be a low ticket. So that is my definition. Why is that important? As I said in the introduction, most marketers and entrepreneurs, business owners, they talk a lot about conversion. Wow, today I've got a 50% conversion after I send people to the back of the room. Wow, you know what? I've got 80% conversion of the people that listen to my pitch for 90 minutes. My question to all of us, ladies and gentlemen, is that such a big deal? 80%. What if I'm actually challenge some people's mindset here? What if I'm able to only convert 2%, I'm actually making a lot more money than someone who converts 80%. Is that possible? We'll discuss during this session today. So before I move on to the next topic or next part segment, Richard, Jane, and Grant, do you have any of your experience and definition of high ticket, low ticket? I'm open to the floor right now. Go ahead, please.
Hiya, Jack. Thank you. Great question. Yeah, what is high ticket? What is low ticket? And you've given your definition of it, Jack, and thank you for that. And I've certainly heard different definitions. I had heard, much to my surprise, in the past that high ticket, it was from a fairly reliable source, that their definition of high ticket was any one sale that was over $1,000. Surprised me. It sounded like a low figure to me, but 1,000. My guess would have been, because of course this is not written in stone, I would have thought 5,000. And again, it's a movable feast, but I think it depends on what it is. So I guess, when you look at your product range, is it possible that everything you do is, let's say it's 1,000, 5,000 or 10,000, whichever we determined it is, are all of your sales high ticket or low ticket? For myself, for example, I would say some of it is high ticket, some of it is low ticket, because most of us have what we would discuss as a funnel, i.e., a lower price product to bring people in, to get people to know you, like you, trust you at a much lower price point to get to know you. And if they do like you, they like your product, they get results, they like the service, they get to like you and the way you operate. Therefore, they would tend to buy a larger, more expensive product, and that could then go into a high ticket product. That's my quick overview of the thing, how I see it. But yeah, high ticket, and again, I think it's a lot of it is about where you're selling it from, where you're selling it, and how quickly you're selling it too. All right, because if you look at some things like a large piece of engineering equipment, that's normally sold not just to one person, but to various departments, have to look into it, decide on it, see if it's right for them, look at the budget, see if it fits in with the ethos where they're going. Could be lend lease tax consultations to go involved with that equipment and offsetting it. Is it a better deal here? There's a lot of arms and legs into that sale. So those sales can sometimes take 6 months, whereby what we're talking about is selling it normally at the end of either standing on stage or being on a webinar for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 days, something like that, maybe 5 days. So that's what we're talking about. So that's my quick overview of it, and that's my personal definition of what I see as high ticket, and of course low ticket is anything below that. Over to you, Jack.
Whichever works is, like I said at the beginning, everybody has their own definition. And of course, like you said, it also depends on what kind of products or services that we are offering to the marketplace. B2B, higher chance to get high ticket. The consumer market, it really depends on your offer. So I absolutely agree with your observation. Richard and Jane, do you have anything to add before I move on to the next segment about high ticket versus low ticket? Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Grant, for great information. And yeah, I've been thinking as everyone talking, and I was reminded it was 1992. I was in Austin, Texas, where I lived, and doing my same work I'm doing now. And I just remember this man who had plenty of money, but I gave him my price. He asked, and he just tried to get me to lower my price. And with this particular guy, and there's many people like this, that's their habit. You just have to hold your own line. You don't have to get emotional about it. I just said no, not going to lower my price. That's my lowest price. I'm going. But it was just his habit to whatever you said to him, he was going to try to get it lower, you know. And there are people like that. They've learned to I guess, they want the best deal, quote unquote. So I'm just grateful that I saw it for what it was. I didn't make him wrong. I just said, no, can't do that. And I just think that's a powerful way to handle it. And this is such a big subject. I know what I'm saying is just a small fraction of it, but that's what came to my mind for now. And I wanted to mention that and share it. Thanks.
Never discount on your gut feel and experience, Jane. I really, really want to encourage everybody listen to the part that Jane mentioned earlier on. If the price is not right, knowing the other guy is going to ask for a discount or what we always call the best deal, you stand by your ground as to whether you want the deal or not. Now, of course, on one hand, we say, well, if I don't get the deal, I may not be able to bring money home this month. I got this. On the other hand, guess what can happen also? That is when you acquire a lower ticket client. I don't know whether this is your experience. My experience is that I can imagine immediately that guy will come to me every single day, ask me tons of questions, eat up my time as if I'm actually the God or the savior of his or her life. And I don't know whether you like this kind of clients or not, which is very much depending on you. I like clients who pay me more money, self-motivating, self-initiating. They are resourceful enough to solve their own problem with minimal guidance from me. And this is low maintenance client. And yet they actually a high ticket client. So later we'll elaborate this further. I think it's getting to be a very big topic, exciting topic, Jane. And we'll explore what are the things that will help us to look into acquiring and actually building up our high ticket offers in terms of product or services. We will do that in the next couple of minutes. Richard, do you have anything to add before we move on to the next segment?
Hey, Jack. Yeah, just quickly weigh in. I think, as people have already said, it's very clear that it depends on what product or service or what type of industry you're in as to what would be a high ticket. And again, are you selling to a person or a corporate or something like that? I think in terms of my thoughts on it, it's about the resistance for somebody to part with the money. And I think it's about, sort of a sizable amount of money in terms of what is high ticket. So for me, to be honest with you, I'd kind of agree with the person that you spoke to, where they're sort of saying anything over about $1,000. And for me, once you hit that kind of mark, people really do start to think a lot more about what they're purchasing and whether they need it and whether they can afford it. I think, again, everybody's different. Some people have got much bigger budgets and able to spend more money. But for me, I always think at the $1,000 mark is something where, once you hit four figures, that's quite a substantial chunk of money for anybody, no matter what you're doing. So I would say, when you're going over the $1,000 mark, that's, for me, that could be quite easily classed as high ticket. Again, depending on what the product, service or industry is, that could be a very low ticket depending. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. So back to you, Jack.
No problem, Richard. Like I said to Grant, everybody has their own definition. Whether it's 10K, 5K, 3K, 1K, is fairly relative in our particular situation. So let's not fixate our mind that it must be 10K, 5K, whatever. Whatever works for you, go for it. So let's talk about the reason why some people are having difficulties in charging high tickets. So we are going to explore this issue. And the first time when I was looking at offering high ticket, in my mind, I was saying to myself, hey, as a coach and consultant, now remember the story that I started back in 2014, actually 2012. Later, I make a decision in 2014. I think I've actually shared this much earlier in this room, in this weekly meeting. I said that when I quit the corporate world, I'm a tax professional, and therefore it's very legitimate and logical for us to charge based on hourly rates. And this hourly rate thing, we call it charge out rate in the professional firm. I was thinking for myself, hey, what is the charge out rate that I should have given to the client now that I'm independent consultant? I'm no longer attached to Baker McKenzie. So therefore, in my mind, I said, hey, why not I just plug a number out and I say $200 or $250? It sounds okay to me. It's something that I was then very comfortable with. And you know what? I didn't get anything. Because on one hand, I thought that is a price that a lot of people would be able to accept. On the other hand, my brand name isn't there. My brand name cannot be competing with the big four accounting firm or the international law firm. So a lot of times I realized, hey, this doesn't work, and therefore, like what we always say in the coaching world, I sought help from my mentor, and my mentor actually said one thing, which is pretty cool. I think it is like if you have not experienced it, I invite you to experience for yourself, and don't take my word for it, because when I haven't experienced what I'm about to say, I couldn't believe this too. That is to add a zero after 200. So my mentor actually asked me to add a zero after the 200. That becomes an hourly rate of $2,000. And it's not Singaporean dollars, it's US dollars. Guess what happened? 1 month later, I got my first $2,000 client. That's the magic. I couldn't explain why. Like there's no reason, no steps involved. You just let a decision make, and I'm going for that. You know what? That happened. Like how cool is that? Like now, I'm actually getting paid for speaking to a client for merely an hour, and a lot of my tax practitioners worldwide, they are charging like $375 an hour. And the affiliation that attached to this association asked me, Jack, can you actually lower your rate? Because your rate seems to be so high. I said, I never want to go down because I value my 28 years of experience in tax. So I still stick to my 2000. And guess what? In February this year, I was just picking up a phone, talking to a client for 1 hour about our Singapore budget speech. That's $2,000 in my pocket in an hour. Is that a lot of work? Not really. Is that easy to make? Yes. But how do I make it? It's actually the confidence and the decision to go high. And that's what I mean by high ticket in that sense. Now, like I said, my original definition is 10 grand. That, like I said in here, Grant and Richard and Jane, we all explain, it really depends on what offer or what kind of product or service here. For my example earlier is purely a consultation. Like no one is going to pay $100,000 for a consultation, right? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I have not done that yet. So my $2,000 for a tax conversation on the phone call without the need of writing anything, to me is pretty decent offer that I'm making to the marketplace. Okay, so that's one thing that I realized. And the other thing is this: a lot of people thought that they need to benchmark with the competitors. My mentor actually told me it's not true. The problem of why someone is having difficulty to charge high ticket is because he has a problem to sell to himself. Because in his mind or in his heart, he has no guts, no feeling, not ready to actually pay for the amount that he's charging other clients. So imagine if I'm asking someone to pay me 10 grand, Imagine I'm now selling this to myself first. Am I willing? Am I prepared? Am I comfortable to pay 10 grand on that kind of offer or products or services? If the answer is no, that's where the problem is. Again, it's not the customers, not prospects' problem. It's always our own problem to deal with. So I'll stop here for a while and let my moderators come in to participate in this discussion. But before that, Prashant just joined us. So Prashant, would you like to do a quick intro before we move on to the difficulties or the challenges for someone to actually charge high tickets? Prashant, over to you.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tom, thank you, Jack, for having me here. And so my name is Prashant Kumar, a best-selling author of the book Check-In with Every Check-In and a hospitality management consultant. I help independent hoteliers scale their business, boost profits, boost ratings, and build a better performing team. So this is me, and this topic is quite interesting for me because we always sell, sometime low value products, sometime high ticket products, services. So let's discuss on that. Thank you.
Okay, sure. You're welcome. So Prashant, the moderators have offered their definition of high ticket and low ticket. Just to summarize for you, because you just joined us, right? So high ticket and low ticket, it really depends on the number that you plug in. So mine is 10 grand. Grant is actually 5,000. Richard say 1,000 is okay for him to be considered high ticket. So for you, what is your definition of high ticket and low ticket?
Mine is whatever more than 7 lakh rupees in India, 7 lakh. So it is around 10,000 US dollars, around.
So yours,
Maybe
mine are pretty much
9,500.
similar, 10K.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the 4 figures to 5 figures is a very exciting mark to overcome. That's why I insisted. Okay, anyway, let's talk about this discussion on why someone is having trouble or challenges in charging high tickets. And I said that one of the reasons that I said to myself earlier on is that I like to actually compare my pricing with my competitors. Or because other people are offering $300, $200, for me, I'm actually providing similar service, and as such, I cannot charge more than what they are charging. That's the biggest problem I see in the marketplace after I work with so many clients about putting a number on their offer. And the second thing is not about like the reason why someone is not able to charge high ticket is actually nothing to do with the customers, nothing to do with the prospect. It's always going back to what Blair said, is we have the problem to sell the offer to ourselves. So it's nothing to do with other people. Okay, so that's where we ended earlier on before Prashant did his introduction. So moderators, do you have anything to add and say about difficulties and challenges in charging high tickets?
Hi, Hi, Jack.
Yes, Grant, go ahead.
Yeah, just to jump in to say that, yeah, high ticket is great, but of course, it all depends on who you are and where you are on the industry. So if people don't know you, for example, if you're not known and you just turn up, they've never seen you before, and you're charging what may be perceived as a high price, not saying it's bad value, but if it's what's perceived as a high price and they haven't seen the value in what you offer, then that could be more of a challenge. So quite often what I find is you'll find people who come straight into the market. They've never been seen before. They have no track record. They've not been seen. Their name is not known in the industry or in the circuit, and suddenly they'll want to charge a very high price, and they're not very good at being able to close the deal. Therefore, they can hit a challenge. So maybe for them, they need to work more on the lower ticket first of all to get people in, so that people can know them with a much lower risk, i.e. a lower risk for the customer, less money to spend, less risk, less to think about, less to decide upon, easier to say, hey, let's give it a try. So maybe low ticket is fine. But then again, of course, if they've got a financial target each week, each month, each year, when they look at that, and I went for this with a client this morning, was looking at their goals and seeing what they sell. And I was asking the question in a different way. I was saying, well, how many of your courses do you sell? How many courses do you sell? How long does it last? And I used the analogy of a greengrocer. It just came into my mind for the first time ever. Okay, it's a very simple one. If you're a greengrocer and you sell apples and pears, then and if that greengrocer needs to make $100,000 gross at the end of the year, quite simply, he needs to ask himself or herself, how many apples and pears do I need to sell to make $100,000? Therefore, and then do most people buy a single apple and a single pear, or do they buy a pound or a kilo? So have a look at it. What is it? If it's a kilo, that's rather like a group package, isn't it? If it's a group package you're selling of consultation or coaching sessions, that would be like buying a bag of fruit as opposed to a single piece of fruit. So if you look at it in simple terms like that, that will show you. And then when you look at your financial target and people look at it, they're like, oh my goodness, I need to be selling X amount of those every week to make that target. So this is either telling them something, isn't it? It's either telling them that they're not working anywhere near hard enough to make the money they need to make. And then again, it poses the question, if you're going to be working that hard, is that going to be an enjoyable life? Or perhaps your products or your services are not high ticket enough? Which of course leads on to the next question. It's not just a question of putting an artificially high price on them, it's a question of giving more value that allows you to command the high ticket price. I hope that makes sense. That's what I wanted to add, and they can be the challenges, but of course they can also be the opportunities too. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you, Grant. Awesome. Because high ticket is not just about plugging a number in the air and say, hey, Grant, I'm going to charge you 100,000 when I've not done anything, have not shown my expertise. That's no way I will command $100,000 from Grant. Grant will not like me, will not know me, and don't even want to talk to me, will just run away, as an example. Yes, I heard you loud and clear. So the one thing about offering high ticket product or service that boils down to, apart from our own personal development, what are the expertise and skills that you have? That becomes a very critical issue. Have you been actually walking the talk? Have you been not only just using what you know to help yourself to solve your problem? Have you been able to help other clients? And most importantly, get the testimonials and social proof. I would just happen to chance upon a coach website on Facebook. It's very fun. It's very fun. So Grant, can you believe this? A life coach saying that I'm here to help people to be able to solve their own personal conflicts. And when I look at the person's Facebook account, guess what I saw? Dogs, cats, food pictures. There was nothing relating to what the guy says he's doing, life coaching. There's no social proof. There's no stories from clients. There's no philosophy principle. There's literally nothing on the social media that talks about him being a life coach. Can you believe this? But I just happened to see yesterday one of them. So I couldn't help. I just have to mention this here. Okay, so Prashant, Jane, and Richard, do you have any experience why some guys have challenges in offering high ticket from your experience? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, can I? Yeah.
Prashant? Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Yes,
What
Prashant?
you are talking is absolutely right. In my yeah, can you hear
Yes,
me?
Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, in my experience also, I have experienced that the question comes about credibility. No matter how many testimonials we put there, still when people are in your city, they want to hear from those people whom you have already helped. So I encountered many times, of course. And second thing, what you were saying, the social proof is required based on like what is your website is saying, what your social media is saying.
Yes, Prashant,
To be in
your
place.
sound is
One
broken
deal
off.
I could
I hear the
crack.
website, social proof. What
Okay.
else?
Yeah.
Yes,
So can
I
you
can
hear
hear
now?
you
Am I
now. So
clear
please
now?
carry on.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. So yes, one client I could get only because they wanted to talk to a person whom I have already helped, And when I provided the phone number after taking permission of the previous client, and when I provided telephone number, they called them, and when they spoke, then only they signed the agreement with me. So the credibility becomes critical when it comes to the high value ticket. When the credibility is there, people are ready to pay. So this is what I wanted to share for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prashant. This is really, really what I wrote on LinkedIn on Saturday morning, and that is something to do with this social proof and credibility. Incidentally, I don't know why, I happened to chance upon a Federal Trade Commission, which is the US watchdog, talking about how to avoid any business coaching scam and investment scam. I happened to see the article. It was written quite a while ago, and one of the key points it says is you have to do research carefully to see whether the guy who wants to sell you the high ticket thing or any offer or product or services is a real deal. So number one, you should check the website, but don't trust everything the guy said on the website because it can be fake. You should actually check whether there are any testimonials given by his clients so as to prove that the work actually is the solution is actually workable and legit. And the FTC said, but don't trust this testimonial because they might be fake as well. So what are you telling me then? It's neither here nor there. So Prashant actually said one thing very clear. There is actually, I got something similar last week whereby someone actually wanted me to help them to run and to create a virtual summit in this November 2022. And the lady who wanted to speak to me, first of all, check my website, check what I've written on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And she said to me that, well, I've checked, but I still don't trust you. Why? Because until I spoke to you as a real person, until I feel comfortable talking to you, I'm sorry to say that your website, your social proof doesn't mean anything to me. So therefore, in 2022, my biggest lesson right now, up to this point, is create your presence online. At the same time, be a person when you talk to someone, show your expertise, show your confidence. That's a way to ensure that your chances of charging high ticket will be higher. That's what I sense from my experience just happened last week. Richard and Jane, do you have anything to add about these challenges of charging high ticket? Richard, over to you.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge a lot of people face is on the sales call. So I think you have to have a lot of practice and become very natural when you're talking to a client during a sales call. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, especially if you're not used to selling high ticket. I think people feel pressure and all sorts of things. So as Blair Singer calls it, the little voice kicks in. And I think that is probably one of the biggest problems for people when they're transitioning from sort of lower or medium ticket to high ticket, is that internal dialogue and the resistance where you feel that there's going to be objections before the client even makes them, if that makes sense. So I think sometimes people go into the sales calls with not a bad mindset, but they've because they don't feel comfortable with selling high ticket sales, it doesn't come across properly. I hope that makes sense. But basically what I'm saying is I think the little voice kind of comes up when you're breaking into that next level. It's like anything, when you're kind of moving out of your comfort zone, you're going to get some kind of resistance. So hopefully that makes sense, Jack.
That's perfectly making sense to me, because the biggest thing I see a lot of high ticket closers wanted to close high ticket deals is I ask them, so how many calls have you done so far? Okay, I know you have not done enough. How many role plays have you done so far? That means you have not done enough role play. I can tell straight away. Reason is because this thing about role play, which is practicing in dojo, is very crucial to practice and hone the skills of high ticket sales. And at the same time, it's not enough just to practice in the dojo without going to the real world to have this sparring in real life. At the same time, if I haven't done enough practice in dojo, guess what happened? I will end up in a call with the client. Hey, Richard, hi. Good morning. I will lose the client straight away. Just within the 5 seconds, within how you present yourself, what you say at the beginning of the call, can straight away tell whether a call is successful or not. That's why I also train my team to be very, very diligent in coming to role play, because role play is pretty crucial. So thank you, Richard. It's definitely making sense. I highly recommend, if you are on high-tech sales, if you do have a team right now doing high-ticket sales, make sure a team has done enough role play, drill and drill and drill. And one thing to take note about high-ticket sales role playing is you don't necessarily need to role play the whole damn 40 or 45 minutes. Of course, that depends on your call. Some people will do it 30, some people do it 1.5 hours. The biggest and craziest one I've ever seen is 2 hours. Oh my God, I couldn't believe I don't need 2 hours if I can finish it in 45 minutes. Okay, anyway, that's besides the point. Coming back, and how many of you realize that my passion when it comes to high-ticket sales is, even though it's already 10:35 p.m. my time, my energy is very high because I'm truly passionate about all this high-ticket sales thing. Okay, where was I? I was talking about also the fact is you don't need to role play the whole 45 minutes, because this is one thing I learned from a mentor. You take out a piece of that role play, that let's say the call is 45 minutes. If you need to practice the objection handling part, just drill the objection handling and get good at that. You don't need to practice the whole thing and waste time on that. So that is just my experience in doing role play with my team and also my clients. Okay, that's it. I will stop for a while. Otherwise, I'll keep on talking till 11 p.m. my time. Jane, Grant, Prashant, they have any? Prashant is online now. So Jane and Grant, do they have anything to add?
Jack, role play. You was talking about role play just now, and I think that's an excellent point that you made there, about a mentor will actually help you just pull out the part, especially if you've actually role played a whole sort of the discovery session, strategy session, whatever you call it, because there's so many strategies of how to do a strategy session, as we all know, and we all get the one that works better for our product, our service, our kind of clients, etc., and the length of time. So when they go through it, it's great when they go through it and they'll listen to a key part and they'll say, okay, so just give me that part. How do you do that part? And I think that is such an important thing, because as Richard quite rightly said, when it all comes back to that old word of mindset again, those little voices, indeed, in the head, that people, this is what I find, when people come to doing that, when the stakes are high for the client to pay more, the stakes are high on the person selling as well. So you've really got to have your act together. And recently, I mean, I had a demonstration from somebody who was one of the top high ticket closers out there. Basically, I think it sold $6 million in a weekend. Now, the point in case, a lot of people debated it and said, well, how could it be? Da, 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 da. And I realized he was selling on behalf of a very big speaker. And the speaker in question obviously has a range of packages. None of them are cheap. But of course, the elite ones, when they actually got to their elite clients who have been with them for a few years, the packages to them are probably in the range of about $1 million. Okay, and there's quite a lot of 100,000 and 200,000 packages. So yeah, if he's earned the right to be closing those kind of people, he hasn't got to close too many of them to make $6 million in a weekend. True, as this person said, he was selling the same products and the same services, not his, somebody else's, but selling the same products and the same services as his contemporaries, yet he made double the money in half the time. Why? Because he was really getting to understand the people he was selling to. He was understanding, as Mac would say, what's keeping them up at night, what keeps them awake at night, what's their problem. Those people are now in tune with it because they've been entrained, haven't they? If they've gone through that speaker's other courses, they know the subject matters, they know the problem, they know what's holding them back. They are now at this point very ambitious people who are A, already getting results, and B, would like more results, and C, they have the money to pay for it. Very important. So at this point, you've got the ideal client sitting in the room. They're very used to that environment. They're used to the product. They're used to the services. They tried them before, had great success with them before, and they are now reinvesting some of their profits into a higher package with somebody who's presenting it to them who understands them very well indeed. In fact, I think there's two things here. He understands them very well, and he understands human beings in general very well, and is excellent at closing. So when we talk about the what Richard was saying, when it comes to selling, and I say when it's high stakes, a lot of people get nervous themselves. This person has got that handled. Why? Because he's been coached and coached and coached how to speak from the stage, and not only just speak and educate, but how to close from the stage. Because unless you can close from the stage, all you've got is an expensive hobby. And that's how I see the whole thing condensed into a few paragraphs. That's me. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Grant. I probably even know who is that guy you're referring to because I hear the offer is 1 million. I know the relationship in the high ticket closing platform. He is the god. He's a he, right? If I'm not wrong. Anyway, that besides the point. The point that Grant has made is very important. Winning in a strategy call is committing suicide. Knowing your audiences well enough and get them like you, buy from you, and buy from you again, and again makes the sale so easy. And Grant also make a very important point. I don't know whether people pick this up. Why do we go for high ticket? Simply because in this market right now, after the pandemic, the middle class is like what Robert Kiyosaki said, is going to disappear very, very soon. I don't know how soon, it's disappearing soon. So you see a diverse or extreme background of two groups. One group actually has no more money to pay or finance anything. The other group, they have the money because they are doing well before pandemic. They are doing better in pandemic or doing okay in pandemic, so they have the money to invest. So if you are going for high ticket clients, you offer them anything like $100, they will say something is wrong. I'm already at my status. You're offering $100 thing to me. Hello, what's wrong with you? So therefore, you must know your audience pretty well and know who you pitch. What do they want from you before you can even seal the deal. So Grant make an absolute point, very, very, very clear. I want to actually deal with the why high ticket because in the description, my promise is to prove that if you guys are focusing on only conversion and nothing else but conversion, the math may not make sense to you. So a classic example, if I were to put this down as an example, if you have pen and paper, you may want to just write down two guys' names. One is called Tom, one is called Mary. Tom and Mary, my favorite characters in my examples. Okay, so Tom actually and Mary present the same deal, but they charge differently. So Tom is actually doing coaching, and Tom is speaking to 100 people. And his price point is actually $100 per person. Suppose he's a very good closer, his conversion rate is 50%. So you can plug out you can actually use the calculator to start plugging the numbers. 100 people, I close 50%, which means I can close 50 people out of 100. And each person is charged $100. So I pocket $5,000 after I spoke to 100 people. That's the case of Tom. 50% conversion rate, awesome. He's doing very well. Let's talk about Mary. Mary also look at 100 clients, but she has a very interesting filtering system. I call it disqualification and pre-qualification system, something that I teach my clients in my own consulting work. So after the filtration process, Mary finally spoke to 4 people. Why 4? There's a magic number 4 there. So 4 people out of 100, suppose she's only able to close 1 person, which is 25% conversion. But don't forget, she is charging high ticket. What does it mean? She's offering a coaching package of $10,000. So for a 25% closing ratio, based on the math that I've just shown, or if you want to actually lower the conversion ratio because it's out of 100, so she was able to only close 2%, 2 out of 100. but her price point is $10,000. So guess what? She make 20 grand. So do you want to be Tom, who has a conversion ratio of 50% and make 5K, or Mary, who has a very lousy conversion ratio of 2% but make 20K? Your call, your choice. That's why I said focusing on high ticket actually will serve you better. And how about also the fact is that the ironic part of this discussion is that speaking to 100 people, it requires the same amount of energy and time. Okay, so you don't want to speak to 100 people for no purpose. You want to do something called filtering or qualification process, so that you end up only talking to those who are very serious. So that's part of the funnel that you can create for that. 20 grand, 2 client, I think it's a good one, 2%. Moderators, what do you think about this mathematical example?
I like it, Jack. I like the equation. I think it's brilliant. And I was sitting there thinking myself, what would I do if I knew some of a business like that? What would I do? What would I do with I like the fact that Mary sells higher ticket. I like the fact it's 2 sales to make 20 grand. Her closing ratio is a lot worse. So my thought would be, if Mary's making 20 grand, she's got money to invest. She's got money to invest in learning how to increase her closing ratio, and that's fantastic. That's a great option for her. The other option is, if Mary is just terrible at closing and doesn't seem to be able to do it, but she's got a product that people do buy for 10 grand, maybe Mary can pay somebody else to close it for her and get 50% closing. that would be my option. That's my first thought. And on the other hand, if the other guy's good at selling, at closing, and the price point is lower, perhaps he's really great at selling low ticket, because I think they're different animals. Some animals are good at selling high ticket, some animals are good at selling low ticket. And if that guy's good at selling low ticket, that's great. He just needs to expand his marketing to get that message out to many, many more people while keeping the same closing ratio. Or in fact, why not even get coaching to increase his closing ratio, even so, to increase his own closing ratio, but he needs to get that message out to many more people to reach even better levels of success, which means more money for him, and also that means that's just a measure of the fact that he's helping more people. That's what came up for me when you said that, Jack. Loved your demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is just a math example. Of course, there are a lot of things behind the scene you should think about, like the coaching word, the funnel, self-esteem for Tom, burning out potential for Tom because he has to do so much in order to make this miserable 5K. Sorry, no offense, but 5K for 100 people is really like my $2,000 for 3 days training to that New Zealander this morning. It's the same philosophy. That's why I F-O the person straight away. Sorry, my language. And then the next thing about after the why, after proving the conversion ratio is not important when deciding whether high ticket or low ticket. Now I want Jane to do a session for us, because I believe this question will be, Jane will be the best person to help us. The question I pose is, how can I become a high ticket business owner or high ticket entrepreneur? Okay, so I want to learn from how to become a high ticket entrepreneur so that I can be like Mary offering 10K. And I know that a lot of people, they want to learn the skills, but they were not successful because there's something about their identity, or in Blair's concept, we call the be do have. So Jane, would you like to elaborate the be do have concept for us? That might be appropriate as the answer to this question.
Well, yeah, thank you. Well, I can only just share my own thoughts, of course, and
Go ahead.
my experience. So, well, mindset is what came to me first. That if how do you learn to sell high ticket items? That's something all the rest of you could teach people. I can't, but I can help people raise their self-esteem. Mac Newton says, you can't exceed your self-concept. And so a high ticket item means if you're going to be successful with that, you first have to like yourself, have confidence, not be too awfully worried about what other people think of you. And that takes some work to do sometimes, at least, from my perspective, because most people don't just change their mind. Well, I'm just going to like myself. That's it. I mean, most people cannot do that because of their childhood, their training, schools, teachers, all the upbringing and training they've had. And I mean, negative training about what they think of themselves. So, what I've learned is that guilt is the killer. Guilt is the thing that would kill the ability to, sell any ticket, no less a high ticket. and and guilt comes from just not liking yourself and thinking you've done bad things, and it's unforgivable, and you're not ever going to be forgiven. And I could talk for an hour about all the factors, and I won't. But to me, that's the key, is mindset. And be do have goes along with that, because to me, be is who we are being, and that's before you do something. So you can be an instructor, a trainer, a coach. That's what would come first to me, and then you do coaching, for example. So you be a coach, then you do coaching, and then you have the results that you want for the person, and what they want. Um, I hope I'm not rambling too much, because so much is going through my mind at the same
Perfect.
time.
Because you are the specialist, you are the expert in this area of personal development, Jane. And I love the fact that you actually talk about one big thing. So, audience, if you are listening to what James has said, I'll just repeat that teaching from Matt Newton, who is Blair Singer's mentor and teacher. Your results can never exceed your self-concepts. Once again, your results cannot exceed your self-concept. And what is self-concept, Jane? Could you give us a 1 minute elaboration of self-concepts?
Well, what it means to me, first of all, so we're considering that we are a self, a being, and a human being also. And it's what you think of yourself. To me, that's all it is whether you like yourself or not. The first time I ever met Mac Newton was, oh my gosh, 2002 maybe. Robert Kiyosaki brought him into the Rich Dad office here in Scottsdale, and Mac gave an amazing story. As we know, if you don't know Mac, you should look him up and read his story. But before he left the room that day, he handed out a sticker, a little yellow sticker, and it said, "I like myself." And everybody in the room got a little yellow sticker. I still remember that, man, 20 years ago. But yeah, that's it. Do you like yourself? That's what it is. And I think that's what Matt thinks it is as well.
Yes. Matt Daddy, very, very inspirational and awesome teacher. My God, I have his voice in my head right now. Jack! Anyway, okay, so back to this point about be do have. So most people actually ask this question, that is, how do I become a high ticket entrepreneur or business owner? And what we have been saying is, like Jane explained, the first question you ask yourself is not how, simply because you can learn all the skills. You can learn from all the awesome teachers out there teaching you all the high ticket sales, high ticket offer. But if you don't have this identity, if you don't see yourself as a high ticket entrepreneur or high ticket specialist, I like to call it high ticket specialist, and that would be the problem, because being first, because we are human being, we are not human doing. So be as an identity first, and do what a high ticket specialist is supposed to do, then the results will come. But Jane also mentioned a very important point. It's very easy for us to write that I am a high ticket specialist, I am a high ticket entrepreneur, I'm a high ticket business owner. Question: do you believe what you have just written on the piece of paper? That's where Jane comes in to talk about her work is actually about clearing and processing, because we could have some shit within us, within our own internal system, that prevents us from growing, from removing all these obstacles. So Jane is actually doing a lot of fantastic work in clearing and processing to help others to become a better version for themselves, so that when they write down, I am a high ticket entrepreneur, they feel the conviction, they are congruent with the heart, and they really believe they are. And that's where the magic happens. So thank you, Jing. Thank you for your comments. So I just want to highlight tonight or this afternoon, if you are from Europe, the topic that we discuss is high ticket versus low ticket clients. What, why, how? And one of the key things that come to my mind about the how is how do we become? And therefore, I said earlier, it's very important for us to work on ourselves. The being, the identity has to come first. And Grant actually mentioned one point I just want to reiterate, that is surround yourself with people who are like you. Why? Simply put, if you are surrounded with Toms around, in my earlier example, all are always talking about low ticket item, and you are the guy who said, wow, I want to offer $100,000, $50,000 or $10,000 of my coaching service, then your environment can affect you. So surround yourself with the very suitable environment. Like in this environment, everyone is challenging each other to go a higher ticket, not just high ticket, higher ticket. So if you feel absolutely uncomfortable in that environment, you are growing. That is, again, my experience. Back in 2016, I was in a mastermind. For 3 days, I was in the room. I was freaking out for the entire 3 days because the one next to me on the left and the one next to me on the right and the mentor in front of me, they are making 8 figures and 9 figures. At that time, I wasn't even at 7. I asked myself, why am I there? Why do I put myself in that position? Because I'm speaking to people who are very successful than me, my self-esteem was affected. But I put through the 3 days and learned one thing. Even though I'm not there yet, I can pretend to be there already. This is like the fake it to the make it kind of thing. It works for me. I don't know whether it worked for you. So go and test it out. If it works for you, congratulations. If not, find another ways to achieve your being. Okay, so that's it for me. I want to say, moderators, do you have anything to add? I know we are 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Anything you would like to add? I know this is a big topic. Like last week, the topic was big. I hope that we can elaborate some of these pieces in future.
Yeah, Jack, I'll just say a few words. Apologies for being not here earlier on. It's just I was
No
training.
problem. We love you, man. Come on,
I think
share your wisdom, please.
great job so far from what I've heard in the last 30 minutes. I was training a team in a group in Vietnam, so I've just finished just now, earlier on rather. And yeah, what I've heard. So in terms of high ticket versus low ticket, I'll just add my 2 pennies. You know, a lot of you shared a lot of valuable insights already, and I definitely agree that it's a different mindset. To sell high ticket items takes a different mindset, and you have to be that value in order to offer that value. If someone's going to buy that from you, they have to see that value. So your mindset has to be, how do I create and position that product, that service, so naturally it makes sense that the value you're going to get so far outweighs how much you are going to pay for it. And that comes from you thinking differently, behaving differently, and having that confidence that what you are providing adds value and it changes businesses, or it changes lives, or it changes health, or it changes people's situation and transformation. The other part I wanted to add, and you know, some of you may have spoken about this before I got here, was this: that if someone's paying you a lot of money, it's often because they want the results much faster or immediate. So it's partly convenience as well, because the traditional funnel system that says, okay, bring them in for free, sell them something at a low cost, and eventually work them up the ladder and sell more expensive. That's one way. But if you are going to go directly to selling your high ticket item, then there's a lot that goes with it, which I heard you say, you know, it's the positioning, it's the reputation, it's your credibility, all these things that go, it's the social proof, all those things must be in place. And above all, your mindset and the confidence that you have to sell it. And bearing in mind, they want that result now, not for it to take long. But it may take long, but they know that staying with the process will get them there quicker than they could do on their own. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you, Jack, and great job, by the way.
Thank you, Matt. That's always good to hear from you, the wisdom. And just to echo what Matt says, I recently was from another mastermind, and we talk about the 7 types of what we call the factors that affect an offer. And actually, what is very interesting is that this high ticket offer, why people embrace high ticket, is because they want to save time. Time is actually the number 1 factor for all high ticket offer. If I can embrace, I pay you the money, I get the results now or faster. That's the whole reason why I pay you the amount. You used to be financial loss. It's not true anymore. It's actually time, because time is getting very precious right now. So when you structure a high ticket offer, think about how you can help your clients save time. That is something that I just learned from that mastermind. Happy to share with all of you. So it's actually the top of the hour already. So it's 11 p.m. I'm about to go to bed time. That's for me. And thank you for joining us this session for an hour on Business and Wealth Club. If you haven't joined our club yet, go up and you see a greenhouse, little greenhouse. Press the button. You'll be able to join our club every Monday at 3 p.m. UK, 10 p.m. Singapore time, 7:30 for India, 6 a.m. for Pacific. Is it 6 a.m.? No, 6 a.m. Pacific. What we are doing is to discuss business, wealth, and obviously finance topic. So thank you for joining us. Follow all our moderators because they are all my good friends. Awesome work in the areas of expertise. And make sure that you come back next week, Monday, same time, for another topic from our Business and Wealth Club. So that's all from me. I'm your host and moderator, Jack Wong from Singapore. Have an awesome week ahead. And Jane, have the awesome holiday for you on Monday, your Monday morning, your Monday for your Monday. And for the rest, have a great week ahead. And I'll see you again next week, next Monday in Business and Wealth Club. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, everybody. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack.
Thank
Great
you.
subject.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.